that's what I do. That's what I do different maybe, is that I actually take on the role. I learn it. I figure out exactly how everything works. And then I figure out ways to tweak the process to make it better, easier, more efficient, smarter, not harder, you know?
Welcome to Powered by People, the podcast where we dive into the stories of the people behind thriving businesses. I'm your host, Wendy Pauls, and today I had the pleasure of getting to know Alyssa McKeown. From marathon snowy winters to the fast-paced world of automotive leadership, Alyssa McKeown's journey is one of bold decisions and relentless drive. As managing partner and general manager of Forbes Chevrolet Buick GMC, she's not just leading a dealership, she's reshaping the industry by championing diversity and mentoring future leaders. With nearly 25 years in the business, Alyssa's leadership earned her the Influencer and Advocacy Leadership Award at the 2024 Women Driven Leadership Awards. She's hands-on, fearless, and always up for a challenge. Whether it's transforming dealership operations or hosting free yoga in her showroom to foster community well-being. In this episode, Alyssa shares her incredible journey, leadership insights, and the power of saying yes to new opportunities. You're going to love this conversation. Alyssa, I am so excited to have this conversation with you. We haven't met in person, but you were virtually introduced through a mutual friend, Chris Brading.
Yes.
Which is pretty awesome because he's just a, friendly, bubbly, wonderful human.
Yeah.
So as soon as he recommended that I speak with you, I thought, absolutely. And another thing is you online, like just your photos and everything on social media, everything I see, you have this like fabulous energy about you.
Thanks.
So I just want you to know that. Yeah.
Thank you. You know, it's funny, like sometimes you just meet people in your life that have an effect on you and make you feel a certain way. And I think that, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, not my whole sort of adult career, but really I'd say in my 40s, I've realized that that's a little bit of a superpower, you know, and have really sort of just been mindful of channeling it and channeling sort of being a big personality and commanding presence in a room when you walk into it.
Yes.
And it's so funny how, you know, you can go every day and somebody will say something to me about something. Oh my God, I love your hair. Or,
Yeah.
You smell so good. Or, you know, there's always every single day in my life, whatever it is I'm giving out, what I get back it's positivity and compliments always. So has something to do, I think, for sure about the personality.
I love that. And the thing is, it actually does convey somewhat even in photos.
Yeah.
Because I just sort of I got a feel for a bit of your personality just from seeing kind of some of your photos and stuff online. So that's great. Yeah, that's amazing. I do want to get to and spend a lot of time around, you know, your current role. I think it's really, really exciting. I know you got a big award last year. I want to get to all that, but I want to go back and find out about little Alyssa. So I saw that you grew up in Marathon. Okay, so I wouldn't normally know where that is because it's in no man's land. Okay, so I want you to talk about that. But I knew right away, and I commented to my husband, I'm like, Kev, Alyssa is from Marathon. He's like, what? So he's a musician and he did a tour up in Marathon in the winter.
If you're going to Marathon, that's the worst time to go to Marathon. First of all.
Oh, yeah.
Snow days, like when I was little, you would open the door and you actually couldn't get out of your house because the snow covered the door.
Yeah.
Like you had chains on tires. You built mansions at the bottom of your driveway in the snow piles. Like you could build a whole fort that was basically like a mansion.
Yeah.
Winter has a different spin. If you know Marathon or anywhere close, even Sault Ste. Marie, it's like in between Thunder Bay and Sault Ste. Marie, that's where Marathon is.
So even further north, right? Yeah. Way up there. Now, did this, I know this is mild in comparison, but did this winter kind of bring some of the memories back? Because we had more than normal here.
Yeah. Like, you know, I I hate winter. I'm not a winter fan. I'm not sporty. I don't like to snowmobile or ski or any of those things. I like to hibernate in winter and
Right.
watch Housewives on my couch.
Yeah.
So like this winter definitely was reminiscent of marathon winters in some
Mm-hmm.
capacity.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, every winter for me is reminiscent of bad winters from marathon. Like, yeah, it's PTSD maybe a
Yeah,
little
that's what
bit.
I was going to say. Maybe it's a little PTSD.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long did you live in Marathon?
So I was born there. My parents moved there both from Toronto, and they moved
Oh,
to Marathon. They built us a home there, and we lived there until 1990. We left. So I was like 10 or 11.
yeah.
And we moved to Barrie. My dad was a home builder.
You moved south to
We moved
Barrie.
south. Yeah, Barrie was
Yeah.
south. They had a
Uh-huh.
mall. Like when I left Marathon, they had a Robin's Donuts. That's it. Like,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
you go back now, I think I haven't really been back ever, but
Mm-hmm.
you go back and there's a lot more there now. But we moved to the big city, which was Barrie. And I grew up in Barrie. I think I moved there in grade 5 or 6 and went all through high school in Barrie. And after Barrie sort of decided to fly the nest and migrated myself to Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
where I went to Humber College briefly for weeks. I thought that I wanted to be a police officer after high
Okay. Do
school.
you know how common that is with people that I've talked to on this podcast? The number of people that
Come
have
on,
said they wanted to be a police officer.
that's what I wanted to be.
Fascinating.
And
Okay. Yeah.
I got into the law and security program at Humber College, Lakeshore campus. And I think I lasted 2 weeks before they were like, okay, let's go and do the physical part of this. And it was like,
Mm-hmm.
jumping jacks and burpees and not for this gal. So I quickly realized that maybe I was just going to take my way and go work full time for a little bit before I figure out what I wanted to do. So
Okay. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So after high school, a little bit of college, then I ended up in the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
I ended
Doing
up at
doing what? What were you doing?
an outsourcing company. So first I ended up at, like, it used to be called Business Depot, but now it's called Staples, working at the coffee
Yep.
center full
Mm-hmm.
time. And from there, I ended up at an outsourcing company in Etobicoke, and it was outsourcing for student loans. So I worked in a variety of different student loan departments, and then I decided at that time I'm going to go to school for HR. So I enrolled in night school and at Mohawk College in Hamilton, and started my HR journey. And while doing that, I found an ad for a company called AmeriCredit,
Mm-hmm.
which was a lender, which looked like out of the States. And so I interviewed for them and ended up getting the job and working in the funding department for AmeriCredit. And that was my first sort of taste in the car business, and that was 25 years ago.
Okay. Okay. I
So
wondered when that
that's
thread.
how that
Okay.
happened. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
stumbled into it. I didn't really
Mm-hmm.
know anything about the car business.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't know anything about cars.
Mm-hmm.
And this opportunity was when you go into a dealership and you buy a vehicle and they do the financing for you, you sign all the loan documents, and then the dealership sends those documents into the bank, and the bank will send the
Mm-hmm.
money to pay
Mm-hmm.
for the vehicle for you.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I was in funding. So I would receive all the documents, make sure, signatures are in the right spots, and we have their banking information and their income worked, and they still have a job, and I'd book the loan and send the money to the dealership. So that's how I
Mm-hmm.
first
Mm-hmm.
sort of stumbled into the car business.
Mm-hmm.
In that company, there was also credit side. So the people approving or declining loans. And that was really intriguing to me, working in funding, because the
Mm-hmm.
cooler people were in credit. Um, so I really kind of aspired to work into credit, but AmeriCredit did go under and pulled out of Canada maybe a year, 2 years after me working there. And the majority of us ended up at sort of the biggest competitor, which was Wells Fargo at the
Okay.
time.
Mm-hmm.
So I transitioned to Wells Fargo, but this time on the lending side. So actually approving or declining the loan applications that
Ah,
came in.
uh-huh. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had my own territory. It was Newfoundland. And, just developed such a great relationship with everyone, all the dealers in Newfoundland. They're just wonderful people. And,
Mm-hmm.
we were able to get
Mm-hmm.
a lot of deals bought.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the opportunity to advance and go out on the road as a territory manager for Wells Fargo. So what that meant was I would travel from dealership to dealership in a territory, and I'd visit inside the dealership to the finance managers, and I would basically ask them to use my bank. Let me help you source some more approvals. We're non-prime, meaning people
Mm-hmm.
have had a little bit of an issue with their credit. We can still help them. Just give us an opportunity to look at that application before you kill the deal,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And while on the road, that's when I got linked up with a dealer down in Simcoe, Ontario. And
Mm-hmm.
he said to me, like, what are you doing working for the bank? I
What
said,
are you thinking?
I love my job, actually. I
Uh-huh.
have a salary and a bonus and a car and gas.
Mm. Oh, okay.
I'm,
So a car was part of that too?
yes,
Great.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Sweet.
good. And he
Yeah.
said, he's pretty cocky. And he said, well, how much money are you going to make this year? And I said, I don't know, whatever it was at the time, 50,000, let's say. And he said, okay, I think you're wasting your talent
Mm.
inside or outside working, going from dealer to dealer. You need to be inside a dealership. And
Mm.
I'll guarantee you whatever it is that you're making, I'll make sure that if you don't make it with me, I'll pay it to you. Just take the chance and come and work in my finance office.
Let me press pause
Wow.
for a second. I want you to continue. But what do you think he saw? Did he tell you, or do you know
Honestly,
what
I
it
think it
is?
was the personality.
Okay.
Going back, that
Uh-huh.
was like 2005. So that was
Yeah.
probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see it in myself at that time, but I definitely think that he saw it, and he really pushed me to go
Mm.
outside of my comfort zone
Amazing.
and take a
Okay.
leap of faith into a role that is 100% commission. If you know anything, realty is the same.
Yes, I'm familiar.
If you're
Yeah.
not, if cars aren't going over the curb, you're not making money.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, but he was willing to kind of all share the
yeah,
risk
yeah,
and say, take
yeah,
so
I'll pay
take a
you.
risk, but also I will
Yeah,
share the risk with you. Amazing.
I know,
Okay. So then what
I
happened?
know. So I did it. I jumped in,
Uh-huh.
and it was easy. Like,
Mm.
it
Wow.
really came naturally to me.
Mm-hmm. And what do you
There
mean
was
by that? What's
there
easy
was
about
no
it?
training. The car business is famous for just like, here's your desk, here's your computer, off you go, like learn it yourself.
Yeah.
We're a little better now in 2025, but especially in 2005, like not so good. But I'm very much like a figure it out kind of girl.
Mm.
So, I didn't have much training, but I would use the reps from the banks. I knew I was a rep at a bank and I knew they had a job. So I'd use them to help me get deals approved. And then there were reps for all the products. So I'd use those reps to say, okay, tell me about your product so I can learn how to sell your product. Because you got to learn about the product to sell the product. So I kind of finagled it all together and ended up doing really well,
Hmm.
and worked with him for probably, it was 2 to 3 years at least, before General Motors. It was a
Hmm.
GM store before
Okay.
General Motors in 2008-9 decided to pull the plug on a variety of dealerships in
Hmm.
North America, and our
Yeah.
dealership was closed.
No way. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, now what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
dealer, at the time, he was pretty resourceful, and he had already saw the writing on the wall. He had secured a Volkswagen dealership and a Kia dealership. So we had a store in
Mm-hmm.
Simcoe and a
Mm-hmm.
store in Port Dover, and I'd kind of travel back and forth to both of those stores. And so he secured 2 new franchises. I
Mm.
learned those franchises with him, learned Volkswagen, learned Kia, and then basically got sort of approached from another one of the bank reps to say there's a really good opportunity in Guelph. A gentleman named Mark Wilson has a used car store. He sells about 100 used cars a month. And when you're a finance manager, that's really good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's like, I know it's quite a drive for you because I'd be commuting from Brantford to Guelph, but she goes, I think it's a really good opportunity. So I went and met with Mark Wilson, and he hired me. And he hired me as
Mm.
his first finance manager. His store didn't actually have finance managers. He allowed his sales team to do the front end back, what we call front and back end of the deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when he hired me, he allowed me to take over just half of his team. The other half were very strong-willed about keeping that for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I took half the team and showed him what could be done. And then very quickly, he released the entire team to us. And I worked for Mark from 2009 to 2013. And we grew his finance office and his business from 100 cars a month with 2 finance managers to 350 cars a month. When I
Wow.
left him, I
Mm.
had a team of 8 finance managers
Mm.
working
Mm-hmm.
underneath me. So we really grew that business.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at that time that, I spent a few years growing this department, maybe looking for something a little bit different, another challenge. I'm very driven by challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Andrew Ojemi, who had just purchased Kitchener Ford here in town, which used to be Wheeland Ford for the Kitchener Waterloo folk back in the day. And they were looking for somebody to join them in a non-prime capacity. So a non-prime finance manager to come and build a non-prime business at Kitchener Ford. So I took that leap of faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked with him for a total of 11 years. I started in non-prime finance at Kitchener Ford. I ended up on the prime side after about a year or so. Then I ended up as their general sales manager, so overseeing the front end of the business. Then he transitioned me over to Kitchener Hyundai as the general manager of Kitchener Hyundai. And then
Is
in
that when you met
April,
Chris?
that's when I met Chris. Well, I
Okay.
knew Chris
Mm-hmm.
as well when I worked at
Okay.
Kitchener Ford,
Okay.
but really
Mm-hmm.
got to know Chris,
Sure. Yeah.
when we worked together at Hyundai for about 3 years. And then in 2022, that's when Andrew had purchased Forbes Motors and he had asked me to join as his partner and general manager of the store. So, like, this
Mm.
level of where I'm at right now, like, this is what we all work for. This is why we work in the car
Yeah.
business, is to get this
Yeah.
opportunity
Mm-hmm.
that I have. And I
Mm-hmm.
have that opportunity definitely because somebody saw something in me
Mm-hmm.
many
Mm-hmm.
years ago, and I've just kept saying yes. Every
Mm.
time somebody's,
Ah. Yeah. Yeah.
given me something or mentioned something, my answer
Mm-hmm.
usually is, yeah, I'll try it.
That's a great soundbite right there. Is I just kept saying yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
powerful. As you're sharing your story, I'm hearing how I love hearing people's journeys to where they are because very few people, go to school and then to college or university and then their job. Like
Yeah.
it's really, really rare for that to happen. And it's always fascinating how somebody ends up where they are. And yeah, I hear that a lot of opportunities were presented to you. You had to exercise a lot of courage in taking some leaps, um, and trusting other people's opinions of you. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Which is, yeah, really a big thing. It's worked very, very well for you, trusting things that they could see in you that you didn't yet see in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really, really significant. Um, what was what do you think was the scariest leap of all the leaps?
For me, definitely the leap from general sales manager to general manager. And for that, because I'm a woman, to be honest,
Okay. In the industry?
in
Like,
the industry.
okay. Yeah.
I've grown up on the sales side. I know the sales side of the business, 2.5 decades of the sales side. There's no
Mm-hmm.
situation that I haven't seen or dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
On the fixed side, that's what we call it in the store, the fixed operation. So that's service, parts. And now at Forbes, I also have a body shop.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
learning, going into Kitchener Hyundai, not knowing anything about the back end of the business, service and parts,
Mm-hmm.
um, and having to learn that has
Mm-hmm.
been and was the biggest challenge,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, of my career.
Yeah.
People generally, on that service side, don't always take a woman seriously. I had to
Mm-hmm.
really learn the job to figure out where our bottlenecks were so I could figure out how to fix them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I worked for days and weeks on the desk as a service writer, learning the job inside and out. I sat
Mm-hmm.
and worked as the service manager for months,
Mm.
You
Okay.
know, we had
Yeah.
had a service manager leave. We hadn't hired another one. I worked in that role. Um,
Mm. Yeah.
but I had to learn service, and learning service is not easy. You know, they measure in a lot of different metrics that you wouldn't even think they measure in. And trying to figure out how those math calculations come together, you know,
Mm.
to determine what your effective labor rate is, and, you know, those types of things. Like, it's overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Sounds
There are
overwhelming.
courses that you can take, like Georgian College has an automotive business course that you can take, and it teaches you all about these things. But like, I'm way past that. Like, I'm
Mm.
running too
Mm-hmm.
far ahead to go back to school now after I've been, you know, running a store for 6 years.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
and don't have the time or the capability to do that. But like, that was so hard learning that side of the business. And
Mm-hmm.
I definitely say that that how I did it is the reason why I've been successful now, moving to Forbes and also incorporating a body shop. If
Mm.
you have body
Mm-hmm.
shop to it, that's a whole other layer.
Yeah.
Whole
Yeah.
other layer. Dealing with technicians, dealing with parts people, dealing with painters, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Mm-hmm. And at this stage, though, you feel really confident and
So good.
competent in your
Yeah.
role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know, you know, I know from looking at a statement or from looking at a report, if a percentage is off, I know how to fix that percentage. I know what to do in the machine, what
Mm.
levers to pull, what, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
things to do in the machine to correct that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that takes time and experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
it. You got to
Yeah.
just learn it.
Have you found that the things that you feel most, proud of or most rewarding in your life have been the biggest
Yes.
challenges that you've
Yeah,
overcome?
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
So
Because in
you
the
can be
moment,
like,
you're
I
like,
did it.
yeah,
Yeah.
how am I ever going to get through this? And then when
Yeah.
you get through it, it's like, oh my God, can't even believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm also assuming, and maybe this ties into, and you can talk about the award that you got last year, the Influencer and Advocacy Leadership Award at the Women Driven Leadership Awards.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, do you feel like you are paving the way in a sense because of being a woman in a business or in a role, well, business and a role that, hasn't typically had a lot of women in those positions?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
And I'm so passionate about it because there are so many talented women out there that I really think don't even look or consider the car business. I never would have.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't have been coerced into it or stumbled into it, I never would have considered
Right.
the car business.
Right.
But there are so many women that could do it, but it takes a different mindset of a leader in store to help and support women. For
Mm.
example, that you
Mm-hmm.
need help with women when they have to deal with things like childcare, if they're a
Mm.
single
Mm-hmm.
mom, you
Mm-hmm.
know, those types of things. The car business is very challenging for anyone with children. I don't have children personally, but I know it is so hard for them to work the evenings, to work the weekends, to have the support. If there's not somebody at home to support them, sometimes you got to think outside the box
Yeah.
and provide alternative, you know, scheduling options,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, different sort of ways to put deals together that can help them actually earn a living inside a dealership,
Mm.
that normally they wouldn't have an opportunity to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have three female fixed operations, so they want to be all be mechanics. Three female blue high school students, two from Blue Vale, one from KCI, that are
Casey.
just like
Mm-hmm.
uh, the most inspiring young women that I just wrap my arms around
Mm-hmm.
and welcome them into my store and make them feel comfortable, and give them a really good co-op opportunity so that they don't lose the steam in joining a trade.
Yes.
I
Yes.
have, you know, female general sales manager and used car manager. My
Mm.
management team are females. Customers coming into my
Amazing.
store are dealing with women in high places.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, show me one other store out there in North America or Canada at least where you have three top women running the store.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah. I
all
was going to ask you, how
GM, GSM,
common
and
is it?
McKeown's. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy that it's 2025 and like that's unheard of. But I'm just trying to be a voice to other women out there, and an inspiration to other women out there, to let them know, like, listen, if I can do it, you can do it. I have no blood into the dealership. I'm not family. I'm not related.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I worked my way up myself. So there's no reason why anybody else couldn't work their way up themselves. It just takes a little bit of persistence and not giving up, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. Tell me a little bit about the award that you received and what they were like, how you got this award, this nomination, whatever it is.
Yeah, so Women Driven is a new program that has really sort of taken off in the last 5 years. I've been recognized 2 or 3 times now by Women Driven. This was by far the biggest award that I did receive, and it is for just being an influencer
Mm-hmm.
and advocating for a diverse workplace. um a lot of the things that I do in my world, other than sort of promoting the women, I host free yoga in my showroom every Sunday.
No way. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
so
That's
I
so
I
cool. Ah.
personally, we pay the yoga instructors to be here and offer it to the public for free. There's 2 classes every Sunday to support, mental health
Mm.
and good community. We
How fun
donate.
is that? That's
It's
so
it's
cool.
amazing. Honestly, we've been
Yeah.
doing it for 2 years. It's unheard of.
Hmm.
People are like, "What? Yoga
Yeah, what?
instructorship?" Like,
Hey, you can do yoga with goats, so why not cars,
yes.
right?
Yes, yeah. And really, selfishly, I'm not even doing it for the business. I'm doing it because, like, I feel so good that I have 2 to 3 yoga instructors who alternate the 2 classes every Sunday, and they can say, "Come." It doesn't cost you
Hmm.
anything, and it feels good.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
very cool. I think I'm gonna have to come
Yeah,
check that out.
you
That sounds
should.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to.
Yeah.
And so this was presented to you. It was it like a nomination type thing, or how does it work?
So it gets presented at the ACE conference. So usually there's a conference in Niagara Falls that everybody goes to. I wasn't there, unfortunately. I had been on vacation when the award came
Oh,
out.
yeah, yeah.
So I wasn't able to accept it in person, but they have a whole sort of ceremony for it. They bring all the winners up onto the stage. You get a beautiful award and recognition, basically, with your peers. And
Hmm.
yeah, there's there's been another they just did another article that's coming out in one of the, I think, maybe Canadian Auto Dealer magazine, that I've just done from that award as well. It's definitely gotten me a lot of recognition um in all of the areas that I'm so glad it is. So being a
Mm-hmm.
woman in the car
Yeah.
business,
Hmm.
and supporting other women in the car business, like,
Yeah.
I
That's
just I just want to have that message just,
that's fantastic. Yeah.
run.
So actually, the yoga kind of speaks to this a little bit. But what do you do outside of work? What does the other part of your life look like?
Definitely reality TV. I'm the
Uh-huh.
biggest reality TV junkie.
Hmm.
Um, I like all the girly things in life. I love shopping. I love going out for dinners. I love going to listen to live music. And we love to travel.
Hmm.
Um, I got engaged last year, so we will. Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. We'll be at some point sort of looking for, where we sort of do those next steps. And
Hmm.
yeah, definitely traveling is a big part of it for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then how do you manage? Because you've got a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
I mean, you talked about just even the training and then everything you need to know. There's a lot of responsibility. How do you balance and take care of your own mental health, your own physical health? What things do you employ for that?
Um, I really try and take time for myself. I just recently, after 25 years, stopped working 6 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped that. It's going on about 1 year almost, I would say. I think April of last year is when I sort of made the decision. I'm in the store usually 7:30, 7:45 in the morning, and I leave usually 6:30, 7:30 at night,
Mm.
5 days a
Yeah.
week. And it was six. Um, and I just, 25 years in the business, I'm going to be 47 in a couple months. Like, I'm getting tired.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah.
And so now I've, hard ruled, I'll still do those days, 11, 12-hour days, whatever they turn into, 5 days a week. But Saturdays and Sundays I've taken for me.
Good
and
for you.
I'm allowing myself not to feel guilty
Sure. Yes.
about lazing in bed, about
Yeah.
drinking
Yeah.
4 cups of coffee on a Saturday morning, and surfing the internet on my
Mm-hmm.
iPad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not feeling guilty about just taking
Mm-hmm.
downtime for me anymore. And I
Mm-hmm.
find that has, especially also with the 2 days in a row working in retail,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
has been life changing for me.
Oh, I bet. I bet. Was
Yeah.
it hard initially? Like, did you
Yes.
kind of go, this just doesn't feel right. I don't feel okay
Yes.
about this.
I
Yeah.
I almost like the guilt. It's for me. It's the guilt of
Mm-hmm.
like I've worked 60 hours every single week for decades,
Mm-hmm.
and really like not giving it my 100% on 2 days that are really my days. They're my days, but you're just not programmed like that in the car business. It's different. It's different. We celebrate like coming in on your day off and working late, and
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
that's the car business. And
Right.
it shouldn't
Right.
be,
Right. Yeah. So
but it
you're
is.
starting to change that messaging out there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Taking care of yourself.
yeah,
Did you, during your journey, did you have different mentors? Did you have either people that you met and worked with, or people that you just admired from a distance?
yeah. I got involved in 2023 with a leadership mentorship program with
Okay.
Scotiabank.
Ah.
And I just was randomly paired up with somebody who I have eyed in the sky forever, my entire career.
Really?
The Zenkin Auto Group, so Laura Zenkin, is just the most incredible boss babe you would ever meet in your entire
Mm-hmm.
life. And she was part of this mentorship program. And what they did is they took a little bit younger sort of um, general manager, partners, leaders, and partnered them with, really experienced and well versed leaders, both being women. And they partnered us together. And I remember like the night that happened, where they were like, they announced it, and your partner's going to be Laura Zankin. And I was like, oh my God, I can't even, this is royalty. And I
Yeah.
called my,
Yeah.
my girlfriend, and I was like, you're not going to believe this. Like,
Mm.
I just got partnered with Laura Zankin. And we went through the whole program together, and, we
Mm.
still keep in touch.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I could call her, she could call me, and we could really pick up where we left off. But
Mm-hmm.
really such an incredible mentor, somebody who I just aspire to maybe one day be as wonderful as she is.
So, and that's fairly recent. So you've already had a ton of experience and you're very successful. And then you have this
Yeah.
mentorship.
Yeah.
What is one thing you feel like you learned from her or from your relationship with her?
She's calm.
Mm.
She's just calm. Nothing phases her. Like, that is such an attractive quality. And I've learned it myself over time. Alyssa at 37 years old could really go 0 to 60 pretty quick, could get really dialed up
Mm-hmm.
in stressful situations, and react and have things show on my face or body language. But I did realize also that never gets you anywhere. And being calm and cool, especially in, crazy, chaotic
Mm-hmm.
situations,
Yeah.
especially as a high leader,
Uh-huh.
you
Mm-hmm.
set the tone.
You
The tone
absolutely
of your
do.
store is
Mm-hmm.
how you come in and
Yeah.
how you deal with it. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're calm and cool, like Laura Zenkin's calm and cool,
Uh-huh.
people are just
Yeah.
calm and cool. And I
Yeah.
really felt like that my eyes were wide open to just how she interacts in such a
Mm-hmm.
calm manner with everybody, but everything gets done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this is still something that I am working on and learning.
Yeah, it's hard.
Uh, so give some tips. What did you do to develop that?
Honestly, I catch myself in the moment. I know when a situation is escalating and when people are escalating. And
Okay.
I have to literally in my head, like, talk to myself. This is okay. This is getting escalated. You just need to be so calm, slow your words, listen to what people are saying, interact with them in a really calm, cool, professional tone. Don't let them see any sort of reaction out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And like, by that stuff going through your head, that's
Yep.
what
Mm.
comes out. So
Okay.
I just
Yeah.
try and catch myself.
Yeah. Some positive self-talk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So what's next for you, or what's a
Mm,
challenge that you're wanting to
mm,
embrace or attack?
mm. What's next for me? Well, I guess like next for me professionally could be maybe the opportunity of another store down the road. The dealer group that we are in, it's called Canada One. There's 42 dealerships in our group.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
They're primarily based out west, so there's a lot of opportunity in the group. A lot of the other partners have multiple locations. So I think, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pie in the sky a dream, Alyssa, in the next five
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
let's hope for maybe a second store in 5 years.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Um,
How about running the country? How about that?
wouldn't that be something, eh? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Never say never, Justin Bieber. You never know. You never know. I
Exactly.
never say no to
Exactly.
anything.
I'm,
Any
I'm thinking,
opportunity.
think big, and we need some help. So, yeah.
For
So,
sure.
is there anything that you are on your own choosing to work on for personal growth, development, that sort of thing?
For me, I've got a really young sort of management team here. I'm really personally, I need to get them all going. I got to get this store going. We've had, a few setbacks in the store from, resetting with personnel, and that becomes challenging.
Hmm.
I really feel like I just need to jump into what I have going on here and make this the machine that I need it to be, that I know it can be. We're not there yet. I feel like I'm turning a cruise ship around. And it takes a long time to do that. But yeah, I would say the most immediate professional, personal, everything is just throwing myself into this business and getting this store cranking to do
Mm,
what I know it
mm-hmm,
can do.
mm-hmm.
And then from there, maybe we take a really nice vacation.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Where
Europe
would you
or
like
something,
to?
something,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
something big. We did
Something
Hawaii
big.
last year. I went to
Oh,
Maui.
yes.
I went to Maui because I watched White Lotus.
Okay. And you just felt called. Yeah.
I felt, yeah, and I had to
Yeah.
go, which we went in October. And what a
Did
magical
you love it?
vacation. It
Mm-hmm.
was like, it's the most wonderful place I've ever been to in my entire life.
Consistent weather. Can you
Yeah.
imagine? Just beautiful, consistent
Yeah.
sunshine,
Oh,
warmth. Yeah. It's
it's
kind
so
of heaven.
nice. It's so
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So, like, that was an arm and a leg to go on. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
got to save
Mm-hmm.
up for the next one, but
Right.
something of that caliber once we
Yeah.
get this store cranking.
Yeah. I want to ask advice you would share, but I'm almost thinking of a couple different groups. So, one, I'm thinking of if there are young women that are maybe early in their, journey towards a career, and maybe they haven't considered getting into the
Mhm,
car business, the car industry.
mhm,
What's something you might say to them?
mhm.
Let's start with that one, and then I've got another one.
So, I think that nobody has any idea how much money you could make in the car business.
Mm. Hmm.
And, our average sales consultant, I would say in their first year will make 60 to 80,000
Hmm.
and have the potential to be in six figures year two. And I think to not have to necessarily have an education,
Hmm.
you don't have to
Yeah.
be university trained. You do have to go through your OMVIC course, and you got to learn through the school of hard knocks how to sell
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
from
not
your
for
own mistakes.
everybody.
It is
Hmm.
not for everybody, but
Hmm.
if you're likable, people buy from people they like.
Yeah.
That's what it
Hmm.
comes down to. It doesn't matter what you're selling, whether it's sofas, mattresses, cars, houses, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Hmm.
If the steps to the sale are the same, and if you are an outgoing, you have a good personality, you're not afraid of asking questions and asking, somebody to do business with you,
Yes.
I think that the car business is a great option for you, for sure. And
Excellent.
you can make so much money.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty appealing.
Yeah.
Now, advice that you would give to other leaders that are maybe earlier in their leadership journey. What's something that you could say to be helpful to that group of people?
That is a really good question. I would probably share with them that the calmness,
Hmm.
not reacting to situations, I think that is definitely a really good life lesson. I
Yeah.
think that that always keeping your eyes wide open to the big picture. Oftentimes young leaders get lost in one little situation of this customer and they did this and this is what they're doing, and they get so sidetracked by the whole overall picture of the issue that maybe they don't make the right decision in the moment as a leader. You know, you got to take yourself out of it, you got to take emotion out of it, and then you've got to figure out how to handle that situation. And that takes young leaders some time to learn, and oftentimes they learn because they make the wrong mistake and then things go like sideways. So
Sure.
Yeah.
What's funny where my mind has gone when you've been, especially when you talk about calm. Have you ever watched The Dog Whisperer? Like, do you know Cesar Millan?
I know. Yes. Like a long time ago.
Okay. So the energy that he talks about, that he uses when he's working with, you know, dogs, is calm, assertive. And he does have this just beautiful, calm, assertive energy. So when you started talking about that, I actually think about him because I haven't had a dog for a decade, but I've always loved the show because I love the way that he tackles a situation. Like, I love watching him bring that calm, assertive energy to even a super aggressive dog and just watch what happens.
So because it's just behaviors, right?
Like, I know. Yeah. And it's very appealing. Like that's, you know, I think my husband thinks I have a thing for Cesar Millan, but really it's just that energy is a very attractive energy. I think it makes you feel safe, right? So if you are escalating and someone else is calm, but not calm and held back, they're still like, there's that strong energy, but they're like calm, it makes you feel calm. So I think that's a great one. But yeah, you should check out a couple episodes.
Yeah, I will for sure.
Very interesting. Is there anything that we haven't touched on during this conversation that you think we should talk about?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anything in particular. Not really. I thought this was great. Like, I'm just, you know, my mission is I'm just trying to do my best in a man's world, sell really great vehicles. You know, create a great work environment for my team. I eat, sleep, live, and breathe for my team. Nothing's more important than the culture in my store. And, you know, everybody feeling thanked and valued and all of those things. So yeah, I just thought it was great. I'm always open to do these kinds of things.
Oh, I love it. And I love hearing about, you know, your journey and your message to other women and young women. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Here's a fun question before we go into, I do have some rapid fire questions.
I love it.
But so you're going to pick a vehicle from, you know, what you sell, and you're going to take a road trip.
Yep.
So which vehicle are you going to take and where are you going to go?
So I'm definitely going to take a Cadillac Escalade.
Okay.
Because you can get all your girlfriends in that vehicle and all the luggage. And I think that I would road trip it at this time of year. I'd road trip it to Miami.
Doesn't that sound great?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So fun.
Let's
I did do a road trip last year for my birthday in an Escalade. And we drove to Charleston.
Amazing.
We did the whole Charleston sort of tour. It was fantastic. Yeah, a really great trip.
Oh, sounds so fun. Okay. Are you up for some rapid fire?
Ready.
All right. Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
Have you always been a morning person?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I love mornings. I think I became it though in my adult life more than younger life. If you could teleport anywhere right now, where would you go?
I would go back to Hawaii. Yeah. Maui.
Yeah. And then you wouldn't have to do the long flight or whatever. You could just be there. Yeah. That's a good choice. That's a good choice. What's a book, podcast, or movie that you'd recommend?
Oh my God. A book, a podcast, or a movie?
I know, lots of choices. Probably too many choices. That's the problem.
I would say probably I don't really listen to many podcasts, although Giggly Squad is definitely on my list of podcasts. Books, not really. I don't really read.
No?
Is that terrible?
Okay. Oh no. You obviously have ways of learning, so it doesn't matter how you do, you do it.
I learned everything through social media Oh my
Oh.
God, that's scary. And movie, my all-time favorite movie of all time is Breakfast Club. So
Mm.
I would recommend Breakfast Club if you
Okay.
haven't watched
Okay.
it.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
What's a hidden talent or skill that maybe most people don't know you possess?
Hmm. I play the oboe.
Oh.
hmm Or I
Mm.
did play the
Yeah,
oboe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
that's
very
amazing.
musical in high school.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Very cool. If you weren't in your current profession, what's a job you'd love to try?
I would love either two things. First would be like to have my own hair salon for something that calls to me in some way, shape, or form.
Hmm.
I don't even know how to cut hair, but
Hmm. Hmm.
or I've always wanted to have my own wedding dress store. Isn't that a great, like, imagine just
Yeah.
welcoming brides every day. Let's try dresses on, like,
Oh, yeah.
fun.
Except for the bridezillas, but
True. True.
so
But
I'm just
fun.
thinking you've already done some unusual things having yoga in your store. So maybe you could introduce one of these things as a little offshoot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Come, look for cars and get your hair done.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, we got to think outside the box.
That's right.
That's
You
what I'm
never
thinking.
know.
Yeah. And last question, what's a motto or mantra you live by?
It's got to be, I've always said yes. Just say yes.
I know. I love that.
Yeah. Just say
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
That's a great one. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So where can people find you? Like, where can people find you in a, work capacity, or if somebody wanted to reach out and ask you some questions, where's the
Mm.
best place?
So all of my info is on forbesgm.com.
Okay.
So on the Meet the Team page, you
Mm-hmm.
can find me there. Also, I'm on, all the standard socials, Alyssa
Mm-hmm.
McKeown. Yeah, or yeah, email me.
Sounds good. And I'm glad you said your name, McKeown, because it's funny. I was looking earlier because there's like 3 or 4 different pronunciations.
Yes, yes,
And then I was reading different people are like, well, yes, I have that name, but my family says it this way. And somebody else says, yeah, I have that name, but my family says it this way.
yes,
And I'm going,
yeah.
well, that's not helpful at all.
I guess apparently in Ireland it's actually pronounced McKeown is what it's supposed to be,
Oh,
McKeown.
okay.
But,
Yeah.
we butcher it and we say McKeown.
Yes. Well, whatever. Say it how you want. Well, this has been an absolute delight. And I do want to come to one of your yoga
Definitely.
classes at that. That's so cool. I
Yes.
did not know that. And I love learning about that. And I would love to, meet in person, as I
Yes,
said earlier.
definitely.
I'm a in-person person, but this was a great to just get to know you. So thanks for carving time out of your busy schedule to share your journey and some advice, some really helpful tips for people. Much, much appreciated.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Okay. Thank you.